Us now, Senator Tammy Baldwin. She is a Democrat from Wisconsin. Senator, thanks for joining us. Well, let me ask you, one of the objections here from some Republicans, from some conservative Republicans to this, they say this is Obamacare light. They say the Republican Party spent the last 7 years saying repeal and replace, and they say this keeps too much of the Obamacare framework in place. Is there anything to that criticism that this is Obamacare light?
You know, what it is a mess, as you were quoting Senator Schumer earlier. It's slapped together and done in secret, and it is deeply disturbing. But what I see as the bottom line is that this is going to strip millions of their coverage because it's going to cost more for less care. And it's going to do so while giving out breaks to special interests, tax cuts to the wealthiest, and including special tax breaks for insurance companies, CEOs, while putting the insurance companies back in charge of our health care after all the progress we've made to protect Americans from insurance company abuses. So it is a mess. And I think that we are right to show the American people how it is going to impact them. I can tell you that the people of Wisconsin did not send me to the United States Senate to take people's health care away.
Well, this is right now the future of Obamacare. This is a political battle on Capitol Hill. So let me just ask you a strategic question here. You are against what the Republicans are putting together. They are trying to get this through the House, trying to get this through the Senate. Presumably, you'll vote no. You're going to hope enough Republicans vote no to defeat it. If that is the case, if you, joining with some Republicans, are able to vote this thing down, what do you think practically happens next? Do Republicans take another pass at this? Does that end it? What do you think the next step would be if you're able to defeat this now?
Well, I think we need to come together and agree on, first of all, what our goals are to provide affordable access to coverage for Americans, and not to take a huge step backwards as TrumpCare would do. If we can recognize that we protected Americans from insurance company abuses through passage of the Affordable Care Act, and then work together to resolve some of the problems that were inherent there, but also to strengthen the measure, I think we can work together. But so far as their goal is a repeal, especially of the hard-fought and won protections for the American people, then we are at odds. And I will tell you, especially for seniors and for women, this is really bad news. Seniors are going to see such significant spikes in the price for their health care, both in premiums and deductibles, as well as women seeing fewer protections. And then one of the things that's really important to me as a senator from the Midwest, where we have seen such harsh impacts of the opioid and heroin epidemic, is that this is really going to be a big step backwards at a time when we need to step and work together in partnerships with local communities and states to allow people to get treatment for heroin addiction, and to protect Medicaid advances, and to protect the Public Health and Prevention Fund that was a part of the Affordable Care Act that has done so much to make progress on a sweeping epidemic that's across our country.
I just want to ask you about one other piece of news today. This was Sean Spicer, had the White House press secretary, had his press briefing. Question was asked if Donald Trump himself is the target of an investigation on this question of Russia potential contacts. I just want to play this answer and ask you about it.
Sean, is the president the target of a counterintelligence investigation?
I think that's what we need to find out. I just want to be really clear on one point, which is there is no reason that we have to think that the president is the target of any investigation. The tweet dealt with wiretaps during the thing. The other is an investigation. They are two separate issues. And there is no reason to believe that there is any type of investigation with respect to the Department of Justice.
So that's what Sean Spicer said. I also want to put this up. This is a new poll out today asking the question, did Russia influence the results of the 2016 election? Overall, the country is split, but what that is, that's a partisan divide. Democrats are overwhelmingly saying yes. Republicans are overwhelmingly saying no. That number of Democrats is up over the last couple months. I guess the question I'm asking is this. There are calls from Democrats for investigations, whether it's an independent commission, a special prosecutor, to look into these questions. But when you see numbers like that, I'm wondering, is there energy in the Democratic base? Is there so much energy in the Democratic base because there is an expectation now that this issue is going to lead to some sort of grand conspiracy that's unveiled, some sort of outcome that will explain to them why they lost the election? Is that part of what's driving the energy when you see numbers like that?
You know, what I see is an intolerance to the idea that a foreign power, a foreign country, a country that has been hostile to American interests, has interfered with our election. Now, there is no doubt, those are the facts. They interfered in our election. 17 intelligence agencies came to the same conclusion. What we don't know are the answers to a number of other related questions. We have allegations out there that there was discussions, contact between Russian intelligence agents and members of the Trump campaign, members of the Trump transition, and questions are raised as to whether there are contacts between those in his administration today. Those questions we have to answer for the sake of the health of our election process and our democracy. It is not acceptable in America to have a foreign hostile power interfering with our election process.
I take your point, but just on this question again of we're seeing the numbers move here, especially among Democrats, to saying this is something that affected the election. You are from one of the states that had one of the closest outcomes, Wisconsin,
yes.
22,000 votes. Donald Trump won Wisconsin by. Do you believe, you know that state well, do you believe Donald Trump won Wisconsin because of Russia?
You know, I have no idea because we haven't answered so many of the questions that are out there. But let me tell you a little bit about the engagement and enthusiasm that I am seeing in my constituency, not necessarily on a partisan basis, but on a citizen basis. People certainly do want answers to these questions about Russia, but they are much more vocal about concerns that they may lose health insurance or find it unaffordable because this new TrumpCare proposal. They are very concerned about some of the things they're hearing with regard to Trump's budget, and they certainly are angry as all get out that he has promised things like Buy America and hasn't stood by his promises day after day. So they want me here holding him accountable on all of those fronts.
All right, Senator Tammy Baldwin.